Hiya Hinsters, how you doing? Happy Saturn day. My name is Hinny, I'm a spiritual astrologer and I am back with another request video. Now if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And I just bought a new camera, so I'm kind of loving it. Let us know what you think. But I kind of forgot how gorgeous and pretty and cute I am. Yeah, this is another request video, and this is going to be on having Pluto and Uranus conjunct in the 7th house. And I've got my notes here so I don't get too tangential. So we're first of all going to talk about what is Pluto, then we're going to talk about what is Uranus, and then we're going to talk about what is the 7th house. And what I want you to do is to kind of mix it all up like a cocktail to get the right mix that suits your particular situation, because this is more of a general video. We'll have to look at the sign you have these planets in. Do you have any other planets or anything else in that house? And what is the condition of both of these planets in the 7th house? Now, Pluto and Uranus are very slow moving planets. They take their sweet time. They are often what I describe as slower, kind of backdrop, hum type energies. So let's start with Pluto. Now Pluto is what I was kind of thinking today to call Pluto the Marmite planet, because I feel like a lot of us want to, and you might get these interpretations in other videos from astrologers, but with Pluto we either want to sort of take all that power that Pluto represents, because it's about power and control. We want to take it all and use it for ourselves, so maybe to manipulate, to destroy, that kind of thing, to control others. Or we just hate it, we outright hate it. We hate Pluto as well, and we deny ourselves the control, we deny ourselves the power, we deny ourselves any sort of salvage from our shadow. Now I do think this also has to do with the fact that Pluto itself, I mean, this is reflected in the science as well, the scientific community, and how Pluto throughout recent history has been debated. You know, is it a planet? Is it not a planet? Now, if you look at the glyph of Pluto, it looks like a kind of sun or a circle kind of held in a sort of cup kind of thing. And this, I think, is a representation of Pluto being the container of the ego. So we know how close the sun is to our own planet Earth, and how far away Pluto is. And so there's also this idea that Pluto is very anti-ego. Even though our whole birth chart and all the planets in it is kind of your ego, it is you as a whole. But yes, the sun can make us be very proud, right? Proud of ourselves, be very authoritarian. And Pluto kind of comes along and says, no, I'm going to kill that. I'm going to contain that. Pluto is in the sort of furthest reaches of our past, and also it is therefore a representation of our past lives, our past sort of give and take, our ancestry. And Pluto is also about parallel lives and also Pluto is about all of those lives and all of the shadow, what, you know, was done in our past or in our other sort of parallel lives, and how is that having an effect on us in this life? Are we dealing with that? And also on a genetic, ancestral level, how much of the inherited traumas, for example, down that line are being dealt with? I just had a few sneezes there. So let's talk about Uranus now. So Uranus is the planet, I like to think of it as the planet of inconvenient truth. It is also the planet or the archetype of sudden discovery. And it is that which will take us to the other sides. And so we have to be ready with Uranus. Otherwise we can, you know, if there's a little bit of uncertainty, Uranus can cause a problem for us, because Uranus is coming after Saturn. And so Saturn is the guardian of the border, and Uranus represents everything that lies beyond the border, across the bound. Saturn is there to warn you to be ready, and Uranus is what actually carries you off and away. And so yes, you need to know first of all what is on the other side, or if you have an actual vision before you cross that boundary, before you go into the other side. Otherwise, Uranus is just going to create chaos for you. Uranus also represents defiance and rebellion, and it's also very much about brazen individuality. There's a lot of power. You know, electricity is often associated with Uranus, so think about that. It's a very powerful electric sort of energies that are often also about individuality, character. Uranus is also representative of overhaul and new strategies, especially sort of brand new, very, very ultra progressive type strategy. And we might like to think of Uranus also as being about true will, or free will plus. It's not free will light with Uranus, it's free will plus. And again, you have to be ready for the freedom that you want with Uranus, because Uranus is going to give it to you, bring it to you, take you there. But there's a lot of consequences when it comes, unfortunately, to our pursuit of freedom, our pursuit of liberation. And so we have to be ready to face those consequences. And that's why I associate Uranus with true free will. So let's now talk about the 7th house very quickly. So the 7th house is an angular house. So basically across your chart you have like a cross and that is made up by the 1st house, the 4th house, the 7th house and the 12th house. And these 4 houses in your chart are considered the most important houses. If you have natal planets here, or if you're having transits going through these houses, it is considered, especially in traditional astrology, that the themes of those houses are even more prominent, permanent, whatever word you want to use. They're more sticky outy, okay? They're more serious, they're more severe. The energies of those houses are much more of a big deal in your life. Now the 7th house in particular is the house of where the planet in your chart is setting. So it is trying to get to the 8th house by secondary motion, but by primary motion it is being pulled back into the 7th house. Basically this is where Uranus and Pluto in your chart are setting, and so it is the house of setting, or you might like to think of it, I've been learning this on my course with the Tutabhava course in traditional Hellenistic astrology, but it's kind of like sunset and nice pleasant things that go on in the evening. I'm learning from his course, like you know, when you finish work, the things you might do when you finish work, when you go to your home, and when you go to your bedroom, the pleasant things. And so we can, I think, associate the 7th house with pleasant things, especially if they involve, or they may well overlap with your partner, your partners, or other people, because the 7th house is also the house of committed partners, of the other, and also, dare I say, open enemies. Yes, it's the house of open enemies. And I think I like to think of it like this: the 1st house, which is about you as an individual, your actual body, your actual self, and the 7th house being the opposite, therefore, is about open enemies. People who, yeah, pretty openly, pretty obviously, for whatever reason, oppose you or create animosity or difficulty for you. It doesn't have to be dramatic or epic, it could just be like little things, okay? But open, obvious enemies. The 7th house is also the house, I think, of commiserations and celebrations, particularly with other people. Again, the planet is kind of setting, there's this sense of relaxation, or the sense of like beautiful colors in the sky. The planet is coming to rest without issues. It's kind of like almost like it's come full circle in a sense. Now I do also like to associate the 7th house more generally with opposition. So not just opposing people like enemies, but oppositions in general. So this could be anything or anyone that you are easily or openly opposed to. And I have for a long time interpreted the 7th house as how we negotiate with the other. You know, it's very easy for us to have an opposition with someone, you know, fight, my opinion, their opinion, blah, you know, kind of thing. But can you do that all the time? Can you do that 24/7? Can you do that for the rest of your life? Probably not. Can you do that with everyone? Probably not. So there has to be in our life, right, in our spiritual experience, there has to be some level of negotiation, some agree to disagree type thing. So yes, the 7th house is about how we make peace, or making peace with the other, making peace with your partner. And by the way, committed partners Doesn't have to be romantic, doesn't have to be the people you marry or get into a long-term romantic relationship with. It can be business partners, that kind of thing as well. And so yes, it's the house of making peace with people and also being at ease with your opposition. And therefore, I think to end, we can call this the house of nice or happy endings, especially relationally. So yeah, let me know in the comments how this plays out for you in your own birth chart, especially if you have these placements. Think about how Pluto, Uranus, and the 7th house sort of combine to give you sort of the flavors for you in particular and your experience of this conjunction. A conjunction, by the way, being when they are like on top of each other, these planets, by a degree, or they're very, very close to each other by a degree. Now, personally, I consider a very close or significant conjunction to be within 3 degrees of each other, and then it starts, for me in my practice, it kind of starts to get a little bit weaker. And also remember, keep in mind that these are very slow moving planets, and so the energy isn't like a day-to-day thing, it's much more deep set, and even generational is the word that is used for these post-Saturnian planets. So there's many different ways that you can interpret this particular combination. For example, your partner in life might be somehow a combination of Uranus and Pluto. So they could be, for example, a very sort of Marmite type of partner, love or hate type of partner, very erratic like Uranus is, or very rebellious like Uranus is, very hyper technological somehow, or hyper progressive somehow, or hyper rebellious somehow. They could also be someone who gives you very, very unique, that's Uranus, incredibly unique, 1 in a million type experiences, and those experiences are very intense. Intensity is very often the word we use when we think of Pluto, or extremely remote, that kind of thing. And then of course another example of how this can play out is your enemies or people you're dealing with, like opposed to. They could also somehow be a combination of Pluto and Uranus, and it can play out in so many different ways. So let me know how this plays out for you. But one example is that they could be very explosive types of enemy, they could be very unpredictable types of enemy, they could be very manipulative types of enemy, they could be very highly isolated types of enemy. And I'm going to end it here. Thank you very much for this request video, and let me know in the comments also if you have a video you would like me to do, and if I'm interested in it, I'll probably add it to my list. So I wish you a beautiful rest of the weekend, to stay safe and well. Today, as I film on March 13th 2021, it's a new moon in Pisces, and I'm really feeling this beautiful energy. So take care, I love you very much, and subscribe and like if you enjoyed this video. Bye bye. Mwah.